Madagascar, Sava region, the global center of vanilla production. Here, around 70,000 farmers produce 80% of all natural vanilla that is consumed around the world. It is also the region where a transdisciplinary research project of the University of Göttingen, Diversity Turn in Land Use Science, takes place. Increasing global demand, lower production outside of Madagascar, and dwindling stockpiles met a cyclone in March 2017 that also partially devastated vanilla farmlands. Vanilla prices went up more than 1,000% and brought major changes to the region.
Le boom de prix de la vanille a apporté un plus.
Vanilla producers and merchants are the ones who have profited the most from the recent economic boom. But also people who come from abroad, who come here to find income, benefit from this economic boom. The main disadvantage for some people is inflation.
L'avantage, c'est plutôt au niveau, pour certains, l'inflation.
Insecurity has increased dramatically, so the farmers started to harvest the vanilla immature because they cannot ensure the sort of security of the fields, and they are afraid that the vanilla would be stolen. So we are now in a situation where the vanilla price has been high as never before, but the quality has been low as never before.
The most important transitions that's taking place right now is that the international corporations, big flavor houses, they're trying to cut out all of the middlemen. Now this can be beneficial. In principle, a higher price can be paid to the smallholders. Well, the question is, does it work? Is there really a benefit for the smallholders in spite of very strong differences in knowledge and differences in power that you have between international corporations on the one hand side and the smallholders on the ground?
Growing demand for vanilla together with the skyrocketing prices that we see is really putting an additional pressure on the natural ecosystems. There are only few native or natural forests left in Madagascar, and the Sava region contains a great portion of these remaining forests. So it's also important to understand how vanilla and the global demand affects the ecosystems in Madagascar.
The research project is investigating the effects of vertical integration of vanilla farmers in global value chains. Together with local partners, researchers study complex interaction of ecological, economic, and social factors. The project envisions developing more sustainable courses of action with respect to the land use system in which vanilla cropping takes place. The project puts a special focus on the needs of smallholder vanilla farmers.
What's very important for us is it's a transdisciplinary project. That means we have researchers from different disciplines, and we are working and doing research together in an interdisciplinary mode. But what we also do is to work together with the local population, and we are very interested to do research with them together.
We don't just want to do research for the sake of doing research. We want research to have impact on the real lives of people. Talking transdisciplinarity, on the first level is this interdisciplinary relationship and interaction and exchange. We have the economists, we have ecologists, I'm a sociologist.
It's important to see the differences between the disciplines and to talk about the differences. Our aim is to build bridges.
People from different disciplines work with the same households, so we have sort of data we can complement on different levels. Are there links between sort of social issues and ecological issues, for example?
We engage with farmers. We take their opinions and perspectives as serious as those coming from scientists or from industry players.
There's nothing that can substitute the direct contact with the stakeholders, with them telling you, this is what I need to know in order to make better informed decisions.
So this also requires us to also do research in collaboration with other institutions like NGOs and the local government authorities, because these are also people who can carry forward our research.
I think most research projects either have small-scale farmers or big companies, but we have both. So we can sort of study and disseminate our results basically to all levels.
Originally, vanilla comes from Mexico and was brought to Madagascar by colonial France. It takes at least 3 years for a vanilla orchid to carry its first fruits. Once the vanilla plant is mature, its flowers have to be pollinated. Bees that pollinate vanilla in Mexico could not be successfully introduced to Madagascar. Therefore, the pollination of each and every flower has to be done manually. This requires a lot of skills. 9 months later, vanilla beans can be harvested. Now they have to be cooked, dried, and fermented before they can reach their distinctive smell and brown color. Even a small mistake in the process might lead to the loss of the whole harvest and therefore of the yearly income of a family.
The vanilla prices, if you look at it on the long term, are extremely unstable. When the prices are going up, other countries start to plant vanilla as well, but in fact it takes some years to harvest the first vanilla. And what happens most of the times that you have sort of a propagation of vanilla in other countries, but then after price rises, prices go down quite fast. So the people in other countries, they give up on vanilla.
There has always been a dependency from the vanilla. Since there is a critical mass of capital in circulation right now, people build houses, and there are significant developments in the villages that were not possible in the past. People can send their children to school and make investments that allow them to diversify their income. There is also development in other sectors that could contribute to further income diversification.
And this has also created in the towns that are close to where vanilla is traded, has created inflation. I mean, the rice prices have gone up more than 3 times. Local transportation has doubled, and the thing is, of course, not everybody is in the vanilla business.
With the dramatic rise of prices, vanilla theft has become more common, and the issues of insecurity have become more pressing. They have left us almost nothing. They were many. They came with lamps and threatened us to take our lives. Luckily, we stayed alive. We could not identify them. We did not dare to raise our heads and look at them.
We want to investigate production decisions of the household, as well as preparation decisions, meaning whether farmers want to cure or sell the unripe green fruit, in relation to influences such as changes in price on the market, market access through international buyers, security issues like theft in the fields, etc., etc. We use a technique called economic valuation with stated preferences, which is also called choice experimentation. And basically it focuses on, in our case, on advantages and disadvantages that come with contracts. And we basically ask which are the most appreciated benefits and which are the most disappreciated obligations or disadvantages hidden in these contracts. We always ask one female and one male decision maker in the household to capture the different perspectives of women and men.
The vanilla market is very intransparent. It's based on tens of thousands of individual transactions that private companies make with their collectors and the vanilla farmers.
We think that trust is an important element on vanilla production, and particularly on finding ways to improve the living conditions of the farmers, because many have identified the possibility that farmers could start trading relations, that they could adopt organic certification, that they could organize and form cooperatives, but nothing of this can happen unless there are strong trust relations among the partners. What we do is that we study whether individuals engage in opportunistic behavior and whether by engaging in opportunistic behavior, this decreases trust. So one of the problems that is seriously affecting Madagascar is theft. And the question is to which extent theft is affecting the economic opportunities of farmers, and whether farmers are taking worse economic decisions because of the risk of theft.
One of the focuses of the research project is to investigate the impact of vertical market integration on existing power relations at community and household levels. Taking into consideration key elements of the vertical market integration, researchers explore processes by which social inequalities are formed, maintained, or resisted within the society, and how these social inequalities influence or provide opportunities for land use practices. They investigate different social categories that exist in the community and within the value chain, and identify those that are the most relevant. One of the goals is teasing out oppressive processes.
Especially when we talk about vertical market integration, we already have huge actors much more powerful coming into the value chain. It's important to then for the farmers to be strengthened enough and have the capacity and have the resources to be able to really participate and get the better out of this process, so they don't lose in this process. I mean, we are all different. Diversity is something that we are all different. But why should diversity be important? It should be important when people are oppressed because they are different.
Our school was destroyed by the cyclone. Since there are few buildings available, students are rotating on a weekly basis. Now, students receive only half of their lessons. By far, most children in the Sava region only attend primary school. Education has to compete with the use of child labor on plantations. Against this background, the research team hopes to foster education in ways that generate immediate benefits to families. Education for sustainable development may need to take a different form here. The team looks for teaching and learning strategies that empower students to make sense of their lives, sense of the vanilla business, and sense of the social and natural environment. Some primary school subjects, such as useful knowledge, go into the right direction, and many teachers grow vanilla themselves. A better teacher training is an important element for most improvements. Better off families send their children to better equipped private schools. Any suggestion for a strategy that is viable on the ground has to take into account that resources in state-run schools are extremely scarce. In this respect, the severe cyclone last year made things worse. There are many problems. the school, and also my private house were destroyed by the cyclone in March. I sleep in one of the few buildings that are still standing. In the past, the school had more than 320 pupils. There is only provisional space for 60 students now. Teaching takes place in shifts. Results have become terrible. Only 10 pupils pass primary school. The region was hit by the cyclone Enavo in March 2017. Researchers are assessing the levels and causes of storm damage on vanilla plantations and vanilla yields. Interviews with plantation owners and data on direct damage, yield loss, early harvest, and theft are collected. Additionally, the role of shade trees for protection for storm damage is investigated.
Diversity Turn is really a unique project in the sense that we know virtually nothing about the ecology of these vanilla landscapes. So Diversity Turn will be a first step to create basic knowledge, but at the same time we want to transfer this knowledge into practice and make it accessible for the local population. We want to find out how much biodiversity remains in vanilla plantations. So far it looks like they can be very rich in reptiles. You find chameleons, different types of birds, and so on. And these species may fulfill ecological functions that might be important for the vanilla system. They might have important effects on yields and other ecosystem functions and processes.
I do my research on amphibians and reptiles, which are associated with the vanilla plantations. Our research region is landlocked and hard to access. That is, it is difficult for scientists to do research. It is hence still a virgin area for research. So, I think we will find new species, especially amphibians, due to lack of previous studies. Amphibians and reptiles feed on insects. Insects, in return, are the main destroyer of vanilla. The main objective of my doctoral research is trying to increase the number of endemic trees of Madagascar in vanilla plantations. Madagascar is a very rich country in terms of biodiversity, both supporting trees as well as herbaceous plants.
Sauvegarder les arbres endémiques de Madagascar dans les plantations de vanille.
For my methodology about ant diversity, I'm planning to use pitfall trap to collect some ants that are foraging on the surface of leaf litter or on the surface of the soil. And also I will gonna do some baiting traps like to attract ants. The aim of that is to study the functional diversity of ants.
My project is about studying the ground vegetation, means herbaceous vegetation in a vanilla plantation, and studying the impact or if there is a difference between the type of vanilla plantation and also to compare it to another relevant land use type in the Sava region.
I'm also employed at Kursa as a teacher. There's a cooperation between Göttingen University and Kursa. Our director wants to further promote our university center through academic degrees of our teachers like us. Science will contribute to the development of the region by valuing the local potential. It is hard to do that without developing science. It is important that our teachers have a doctoral degree. Right now, we are not talking about developing Madagascar. First, we develop the Sava region. There is an exchange between doctoral students of Göttingen and Kursa. It will not only develop an interpersonal exchange, but on the long term, also the relations between Göttingen University and the Kursa. One day, Kursa wants to become a big university, just like Göttingen.
Pour qu'il soit un jour une grande université comme Göttingen.
So it's very important for us to make the link between Madagascar and Germany. That means Göttingen. And this is for the University of Göttingen, I think, a very important project.
PhD students have course supervision from both Germany and Madagascar, no matter whether they are in Madagascar or in Göttingen.
What we designed here is a special PhD program for the PhD students and master students involved in our research project. So our aim is to make young researchers aware of the social impact of their research and train them to regard research as a possible way to contribute to a more sustainable and equal global development.
Especially in the first part of the project, there was a lot of exchange, a lot of discussions that actually helped to shape our different research designs. And I'm really glad we had also this opportunity, because I think in many research projects you probably wouldn't get 3 months in the field to do exploratory research. And so this is one really good thing with this project.
Ich denke, dieses Projekt ist ganz wichtig. Also ganz sicher hat Deutschland eine.
I think this project is very important. For sure, Germany has a special responsibility because it has a very strong economy. But more importantly, it has to do with preserving the heritage of humankind. What would we do without our environment? The goal of every economic activity can only be to use resources wisely, carefully, and sustainably, and rebuild them where needed.
Zu schützen und da, wo es sie nicht mehr gibt, wieder neu aufzubauen.
The project Diversity Turn in Land Use Science would not be possible without the generous support of the Volkswagen Foundation that provided 2.9 million euros for 4 years of research. Other partners of the project include the Kursa, University Center of the Sava region, University of Antananarivo, and Madagascar National Parks.